Hello everyone and welcome to today's Best Entry-Level Helmet Guide 2019-2020. So, time's a-wasting, let's get started with our road tests. So maybe you've just got your license and you're raring to go, you're about to start learning, or you're even on your second helmet. But the question remains on what are some of the more entry-level options out there that'll give you some good bang for your buck without spending too much of that buck. But before we head into today's introductions, be sure to head to our YouTube channel where we have dedicated full-length reviews for each of these helmets, and don't forget to subscribe and allow notifications to keep up to date. So to get started with today's contenders, we've chosen only full-face helmets since they're the safest with integrated sun visors with the exception of the K1. This is a helpful feature when you're just getting started. All these helmets are also around the €200 mark to keep them affordable if you're just starting out. So for today, we've selected the AGV K1, the Shark Skwal 2, the HJC I-70, the Icon Airflite, and the Nolan N87 Plus. Now, let's take them out on the road. I'll just get you acquainted with our road test setup before we get going. On the left here, we've got a screen displaying temperatures in degrees Celsius, taken through a thermometer at the top of the helmet. In the middle, we've got a decibel meter measuring noise with a microphone in our rider's ear. On the phone on the right, you can see the wind speed in kilometers per hour, and lastly, you can see the dash with our rider speed and the outside temperature. To give you a bit more information on our rider is driving a BMW adventure bike, so a bit more advanced, but it should still be a good idea for a basic comparison here. We recorded all our data while traveling at about 130 kilometers per hour on long stretches of highway, where we did our best to avoid any obstacles like large trucks. To start with, let's go over some basic specs for the AGV K1. This is your basic sport helmet, so this is what you would want to wear if you're hoping to hit the track and improve your skills. It does have that classic, aggressive AGV look, but other than that, it's a basic helmet coming at a recommended retail price of about €180 or around $200. The shell is made of thermoplastic resin, which isn't the highest quality out there, but it'll protect you. The visor is a bit on the low side, so that may affect a bit of your visibility if you go into a tuck, but it is anti-scratch and pinlock prepared, though the pinlock lens is sold separately. You've got vents here in the brow, all of them adjustable, you can open and close them, and there's one in the chin, which you open from the inside of the chin. The liner is removable, washable, and antibacterial. So with that over with, let's check it out. When we tested the K1, we unfortunately had poor weather, but we went out anyway. We traveled at 130 kilometers per hour on long stretches of highway. The external temperature was about 8 degrees Celsius, while the helmet's internal temperature was about 10 degrees. So that's a 2-degree difference, which isn't too bad. The average wind speed was about 115 to 130 kilometers per hour. While riding in the helmet, we picked up a reading of about 105 decibels, which is very loud, but then again, this is a sports helmet and an entry one at that, so noise isolation is definitely not a priority here. Our rider found the helmet to be reasonably comfortable, though not as comfortable as other entry-level helmets out there, like the Shark Skwal 2 and the Nolan N87 Plus. Now, let's see how it scored. Since the K1 is made of thermoplastic resin and comes in only 2 shell sizes, that gives the K1 2 stars per material. However, for a great weight of about 1,400 grams, that's 4 stars for the weight. Since the visor is pinlock prepared but not in the box, that's 3 stars for the visor. While this is a sports helmet and wasn't designed for noise isolation, we've decided to grade it on these terms since it is a budget helmet and may be used out on the roads more. So, with 105 decibels, it did poorly, giving it 2 stars. But with earplugs, this helmet should be fine. For ventilation, since we had a difference of about 2 degrees, that gives the K1 3 stars. Lastly, for comfort, it has a fairly decent amount for an entry-level helmet, so that's 2 stars. This brings the AGV K1 to a total champion helmet score of 3 stars, and with the price of about €180, this will give it €11 per star, which is actually really great value for money since you are getting a premium brand helmet, and this was about the same as the HJC I-70, while still being lighter and more comfortable. Next up is the Shark Skwal 2. This helmet is coming in at a recommended retail price of about €240, around $260. This is a sport touring helmet made of polycarbonate material, which should still give you decent protection. For us, it weighed in at about 1,550 grams, so pretty average, and it got a sharp rating of 4 out of 5 stars for safety, which is fairly decent too. One nice feature about the Squall is it has a set of LEDs placed around the helmet to improve your visibility, which is great as a starter rider. You have a vent here in the top, which you can open and close, and you've got a vent here in the chin, which you can flip open and closed as well. Unlike the K1, the visor is pinlock prepared with the lens in the box. For the sun visor, just let me open the visor here. All you need to do is rotate the panel on the left side of the helmet. The helmet should also be fairly quiet due to the Squall's aerodynamics and interior. The liner is removable, washable, antibacterial, and quick drying, though for quality of assembly this helmet is very poor, with weak glue, loose threads, and just a bit disappointing. We tested the Shark Skwal 2 out in, coincidentally, a Squall, which though serendipitous was not ideal. However, we decided to take it out anyway. During the test we traveled at about 130 km per hour along long stretches of highway. The external temperature was about 11 degrees Celsius, while the helmet's internal temperature was about 12 degrees, which is a respectable 1 degree difference. For noise, we measured about 101 decibels, which is fairly loud, but this is also a more basic helmet. We recorded an average wind speed of about 95 to 110 km per hour. Our rider found the helmet to be quite comfortable, even reaching the level of the Nolan N87 Plus, and it performed well on the road. Now, let's see how the Shark Skwal 2 stacked up. For material, since this is a polycarbonate helmet and only comes in one shell size, that gives the Shark Skwal 1 star. For the weight, since this helmet was about 1,550 grams, that gives the Skwal 2 a decent 4 stars. For the visor, since the Shark Skwal 2's visor is pinlock prepared and the insert is in the box, that means 4 stars. For noise, since the helmet came in at about 102 decibels, which is loud, that gives this helmet 2 stars. For ventilation, the Shark Skwal 2 showed a 1 degree difference, which translates to 4 stars for ventilation. Lastly, for comfort, the Squall didn't do too bad for an entry helmet, getting 2.5 stars out of 5. This brings the Shark Skwal 2 to a champion helmet score of 3 stars, and with a price of about €240, this means each star is costing about 14 euros per star, which is a bit more on the expensive side in terms of value for money numbers. Now onto the HJC i70. This helmet is meant to be a more entry-level budget version of the Arfa 70. While you also do have the HJC F70 in the middle price range, it was a bit hard to distinguish it. So the HJC i70 is mainly meant to be an all-around general helmet. The shell is made of advanced polycarbonate composite, as with most of these helmets so far, but ultimately polycarbonate is plastic. Though then again, it will protect you decently in a spill, and there shouldn't be any safety concerns there. The shell is made of polycarbonate again, and it's available in 2 shell sizes. The visor will give you a good field of view, and this helmet also has an integrated sun visor which you operate using a slide on the left bottom of the helmet. And though it does have a slightly sticky mechanism, the vents also do pretty well. You have vents here in the top of the helmet, which you can adjust in the brow, as well as one here in the front of the helmet in the chin. The liner of the i70 is removable, washable, antibacterial, and moisture wicking with a separate chin pad. The helmet also uses a micro-ratchet chin strap, and this helmet also does fairly decently for noise isolation. During the ride, it was unfortunately poor weather, but we went out with the HJC i70 anyway. For the external temperature, it was about 10 degrees Celsius, while the helmet's internal temperature was 12 degrees Celsius, so a 2 degree difference, which isn't too bad. For the average wind speed, we had a range of about 90 to 115 kilometers per hour. For the i70's noise level, we recorded about 99 to 100 decibels, so quite average, though still on the louder side. According to our rider, the i70 was a very uncomfortable helmet to wear while riding, finding it was extremely tight and narrow around the ears. So, now let's give out some stars. For material, since the i70 is made of polycarbonate and comes in 2 shell sizes, that gives the HJC 2 stars. For weight, since the helmet weighed about 1,600 grams, that gives the i70 3 stars for weight. Since the i70's visor has been prepared and in the box, as well as offering a good field of view, that's 4 stars. For noise, the HJC did surprisingly well, coming out just below the 100 decibel mark, which means the i70 gets 3 stars for noise isolation. For ventilation, the i70 also did well with a 2 degree difference, so that's another 3 stars. Lastly, for comfort, our rider found the helmet to be very uncomfortable, so that unfortunately means this helmet gets 1.5 stars for comfort. Nonetheless, the i70 is left with an overall champion helmet score of 3 stars, and with the cost of about 200 euros, or about $220 US, this leaves the i70 with 12 euros per star, which is excellent for a budget helmet, especially considering its strong performance in reducing noise. We now come to the Icon Airflite. This is certainly more of a starter level helmet from a very large brand. The shell is made of polycarbonate, and it comes in 3 shell sizes, which is really nice. However, it does have a very tight fit around the ears, so that's a good idea to check when you purchase this helmet. The visor is nice and large, so you'll be able to see quite a lot, but it does not come pinlock prepared, nor in the box, which is unfortunate. For the integrated visor, you don't actually have a sun visor, you have a high visibility visor, which is this yellow color. You operate it using a slide on the left of the helmet. For ventilation, you have these 2 adjustable vents in the top of the helmet, as well as this one large vent you can already see at the front, and an exhaust in the back. and the liner on the Airflight is Icon's Hydro Dry liner, which is moisture wicking and removable. We tested the Icon Airflite out on the highway while traveling at about 130 kilometers per hour. The exterior temperature was about 14 degrees, while the helmet's internal temperature was about 15 degrees Celsius, so that's a difference of 1 degree. The average wind speed was about 110 to 120 kilometers per hour, while the helmet's noise level was about 110 decibels. Our rider found the helmet passable in terms of comfort, with nothing special happening and just being somewhat basic. He also found it ventilated a fair amount, though not as much as we'd hoped. So, let's give out some stars. For material, since the shell is polycarbonate and comes in 3 shell sizes, it gets a respectable 3 stars. In terms of weight, the helmet is also about average, earning another 3 stars. However, since the visor doesn't come pinlock prepared and it does need to be purchased separately, it gets 2 stars for the visor. The noise isolation on this helmet was very poor. Since we recorded a very loud 110 decibels, this helmet gets only 1 star. Nonetheless, it ventilated fairly well with a 2-degree difference, so that gives it another 3 stars. Lastly, for comfort, the Airflight was very Spartan, giving only the basics, so its comfort suffered as a result, giving it 2.5 stars. This brings us to a total of 2 stars, and with a recommended retail price of about 270 euros, or around $300 US, that gives the Airflight 18.5 euros per star, which is quite a large amount of money for an entry-level helmet that also performs not as well as some of its competitors. Lastly, we come to the Nolan N87 Plus, so another well-known brand. The shell of the N87 Plus is made of Lexan, which is top-grade polycarbonate, so still nice to see. The N87 Plus does come in 2 shell sizes, which is fairly decent. The visor is fairly wide, so you'll have a nice view. It also comes pinlock prepared. For ventilation, you've got 2 individual adjustable vents here, which you can open and close, as well as 1 here in the chin that you can pull down. Not to mention, this hot air will come out exhaust in the back. To operate the integrated sun visor, all you need to do is pull a lever down on the left side of the helmet, and you can see that it's notched. The lining also has quite a lot of mesh to help with cooling and has been beefed up for comfort on the Plus with emergency release cheek pads and more adjustability. The lining is removable, washable, and antibacterial, and we'll see how the helmet does for noise isolation right now. When we took the N87 Plus out, the exterior temperature was about 9 degrees Celsius, while the helmet's interior was about 11 degrees, so a difference of 2 degrees, which isn't too bad. For noise, we recorded about 102 decibels, which is also average for a full-face helmet. For wind speed, we recorded a range of about 100 to 130 kilometers per hour. Our rider found the helmet very comfortable, saying it also performed very well for a helmet in its price range. Now, let's get the stars out. For material, since the N87 Plus is made of Lexan, it is still polycarbonate and comes in 2 shell sizes, so that gives it 2 stars. For the weight, the helmet also does average with 3 stars. For the visor, we've got a good result since Nolan have provided the helmet with a pinlock prepared visor and the insert is in the box, so that's another 4 stars. For noise, the helmet also did fairly average at about 102 decibels, garnering it 3 stars. For ventilation, we had a difference of 2 degrees, which is a decent result again, giving the helmet another 3 stars. Lastly, for comfort, the helmet also did very well for an entry-level helmet, with another 3 stars from our rider. For the champion helmet score, the N87 is a solid 3-star helmet, and since it comes in at about 280 euros, or around $310 US, that's 15 euros per star, which is an admirable result, though a bit more on the expensive side for an entry-level helmet. But then again, this helmet does perform very consistently across the board. For comfort, we can see that the Nolan N87 Plus did the best with 3 stars, followed very closely by the Shark Skwal 2 and the Icon Airflite, each getting 2.5 stars, while the K1 comes with 2 stars. For stacking up for noise isolation, we can see the HJC i70 and the Nolan N87 Plus clearly stood out here with an outstanding 3 stars, while the Airflight lagged very far behind, and the K1 and Squall 2 did fairly average. Putting all these helmets together for ventilation, we can see the Shark Skwal 2 did the best with 4 stars, while all the rest of the helmets got an average 3 stars for a 2 to 1.5 degree difference. So, now that we've finished up all the individual stars, we just wanted to give a quick comparison of all the helmets we tested today. While all of these helmets are earning 3 stars, not all helmets are made or perform equal here. This is where it's useful to see the euro per star rating to see how much value you're getting for your money. For the AGV K1, we had 11 euros per star, which was decent, though you're not getting an anti-fog pinlock lens in the box. For the HJC i70, you've got 12 euros per star, though we found it a very uncomfortable helmet. The Shark Skwal 2 did pretty well, though it only comes in 1 shell size at 14 euros per star, so that may be a bit high. But then again, you get those nice LEDs. For the Icon Airflite, though it was a 2-star helmet, it also comes in at 18.5 euros per star, which in this case is a high euro per star rating for a not very well-starred helmet. Lastly, we've got the Nolan N87 Plus, which seems to strike a very nice balance of a quality helmet that's consistent across the board and comes in at 15 euros per star. So while it is a bit more expensive, you are getting, again, a decent euro per star rating and a well-performing helmet. If you're a bit more on a budget, though, you can also get the Nolan N87, which is coming in at 13 euros per star, with all the same features minus the emergency release cheek pads. If you'd like to purchase any of these helmets, then make sure to head to championhelmets.com, where we have a lowest price guarantee and great bundle deals on all of these helmets. There we have it. The best entry-level full-face helmet is the Nolan N87 Plus. It's simply the most comfortable of these all out here. It gives you the most features. You're getting emergency release cheek pads, you're getting a great sun visor, and it's pinlock preparation in the box. So no real complaints there, not to mention it's made of top quality Lexan. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. Which helmet is your favorite? I'm Sebastian from Champion Helmets, and thanks for watching.